Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice for Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at another new Pokemon V. The videos, as I've said, will be coming thick and fast today. Please make sure you watch them, or else I shall be a sad wassy. Regirock V, our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet. And remember that Pokemon V are the new style of cards, the new GXs as you were. They are just regular big Pokemon. They give up 2 prizes, but as it stands at the moment, there are no extra mechanics. And we're going Regirock now because I adore me some Regirock, as you all should know by this stage. So starting off, 220 HP is gigantic. That is 20 less than Pikachu and Zekrom, except that gives up 3 prizes, not 2. It's more than Wishy Washy GX has. To be fair, it's not as much as Wailord EX, but then again, Wailord's always been a little bit special. So the HP here is flat out gigantic. The sad thing is, with a retreat cost of 3, we cannot use buff padding to buff it up, nor can we use Pokemaniac to search it out. Boo! That really is a huge deal, incidentally. Weakness to grass, it's fine. Because you see, at the moment, welded decks like Reshiram and Charizard are running around everywhere, and grass decks are weak to fire, so grass isn't terribly viable right now, which means you're very unlikely to be hit for weakness. There is Celebi V that we saw earlier, but outside of that, nah, you ain't being hit for weakness here. You're good. But you are hitting a really good weakness on Pikachu and Zekrom, on Raichu and Alolan Raichu. Really good Pokemon at the moment, seeing a huge amount of play. Plus, being a fighting Pokemon means you get Diancie Prism Star to do a little bit of extra damage. We've got Martial Arts Dojo to do a little bit of extra damage, assuming you're using basic fighting, which you should be. We've got Karate Belt to reduce your attack cost. It is a very good time to be a fighting Pokemon. But what does it actually do? Well, the first attack here for 1 fighting, 1 colourless energy does 30 damage, plus 10 more for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Oh, it's Outrage. It's a kind of Outrage we've seen on many Pokemon, really popularised back when Reshiram and Zekrom were all running around with Outrage. And the thing is, this really depends on what you're playing. So let's say you're against Pikachu and Zekrom. Pikachu and Zekrom can one-hit KO you, but it is exceedingly difficult. Full Blitz, they need to use 3 Electro Power to get a one-hit KO. And even if they do, well, they can't do it a second time. Or they can use their GX attack with 1 Electro Power to get a KO. So yes, Pikachu and Zekrom can take you down, but they need to use full Blitz with 3 Electro Power and then Tag Bolt with their 4th Electro Power. And even then, getting the 3rd Regirock is going to be, slightly difficult, shall we say. But then Reshiram and Charizard can just do 230. Flare Strike does 230 and gets a one-hit KO. So this Outrage attack is going to be fairly useless against Reshiram and Charizard. Against tag teams, this doesn't necessarily match up quite well enough because you're not one-hit KOing and they can one-hit KO and that's a little bit awkward. Now, against the majority of GXs, you'll be fine. There's stuff like Blacephalon that can Lost Zone 5 energy to get a one-hit KO, but then again, that's 15 energy to get 3 KOs. That is a lot of energy. Possible, absolutely, but it's still going to be very difficult. Something like the new Naganadel, however, which is seeing a fair amount of play at the moment, well, how are they getting a KO? And the answer is they're not. They do 170 damage. That is not enough to get a one-hit KO. And then you do 200 back, except actually you got Diancie Prism Star, you're doing 220. Reshiram and Charizard has an Outrage attack, but that's not the reason we play Reshiram and Charizard. Essentially, with Outrage attacks, it's very simple. If you're against Pokemon that cannot get a one-hit KO, yes, love it. But there's a lot that can get a one-hit KO even though you're not being hit for weakness. Against something like Pikachu and Zekrom or Raichu and Alolan Raichu, it's wonderful. Again, Raichu and Alolan Raichu needs to use their GX attack for 5 energy in order to get a one-hit KO. Now, they can paralyse you, but there are ways out of paralysis. I love this, but I don't think it's to be relied upon. I think it's a really nice bonus. I think it will come in really handy, but I don't think it's something that you need. I don't think it's something to be relied upon. Now, the good news is it's fighting and colourless, so you can use anything like Malamar or Welder or Tapu Koko Prism Star or whatever you fancy to get that extra energy on. And then you can use one basic fighting, and you can be using Martial Arts Dojo. And if you're behind on prizes, and you've got Martial Arts Dojo and Diancie Prism Star, you're not doing 30 more than is on you. You're doing 90 more than is on you. And that makes a gigantic difference. It means Blacephalon lost zones 2 energy to do 100 damage. You hit them back for 190 and get a one-hit KO. This is really, really nice. But it's not going to work against everyone. So allow me to introduce you to the second attack. Rock Hard Tackle. 190 damage. You do 30 to yourself for 2 fighting, 1 colourless energy. Now, of course, doing 30 to yourself does work very nicely when we remember the first attack that does more damage depending on how much damage is on you. So that's kinda handy, although it can also put you down to a more manageable KO. So if you do this twice, for instance, then all of a sudden Naganadel can get a one-hit KO. Having said that, you're doing 190 with an Diancie Prism Star is 210. You're getting a one-hit KO on Naganadel. Yeah, that's kind of huge. And of course, what you could do here is use something like Miss Magius, give up a prize, but then if your opponent KOs 1 non-Pokemon V, they've still got to KO 3 Pokemon V in order to actually win. So it doesn't matter that you gave up a KO, but you are being able to use Karate Bout and Martial Arts Dojo early. And that's the other thing here. If you're behind on prizes, this is a very payable attack. We've got 1 colourless energy. Honestly, for stuff like this, I love the idea of Tapu Koko Prism Star. Get 1 energy onto each of 2 Regirock V, and then they become 2 energy attacks. Except if you're behind on prizes, you can use Karate Belt, so it becomes a 1 energy attack. And if you're behind on prizes, you've got Martial Arts Dojo. It's not the only way to play Regirock V, of course it isn't. But it is very, very much worth bearing in mind that this is, I believe, the easiest way to get it rolling. You get advantages from Karate Belt and Martial Arts Dojo, and it becomes very payable. If you're not using Karate Belt and stuff like Tapu Koko Prism Star or something else to cheat the energy, then you've just got to attach free energy. And we have got the Groudon coming in Cosmic Eclipse that does let you attach 2 fighting energy from your hand, which is lovely. But then it's just getting awkward because now you've got the starting Pokemon and all of that. One thing I will say, and I'm going to be dropping these little nuggets into me videos, I think probably tomorrow I'll do a nice roundup with everything we know about Pokemon V. But remember, Great Catcher is going to be our new Gusting by the time this comes out. And Great Catcher, you discard 2 cards from your hand, and you drag a Pokemon EX or GX into the active. Well, that don't work on Pokemon V. Things like that are going to give you a big advantage. And look, 190 is pretty good. 190 gets a one-hit KO on Blacephalon, or Jirachi, or even Ultra Necrozma, which is cool. But it's not going to be 190. With a Diancie Prism Star, it's going to be 210. So there's your Naganadel. But with Martial Arts Dojo, it's going to be 250. And 250 gets a lot. Although, interestingly, the only 2 Tag Team GXs with 240 are Pikachu and Zekrom this week, and Gengar and Mimikyu, which has resistance. So you won't get a KO. But 250 is still pretty gosh darn gigantic. And of course, of the Pokemon V we've seen so far, the biggest, beefiest, bulkiest one is Zamazenta. And Zamazenta's got 230. So you'll be getting a one-hit KO on that. I love this Regirock, and I am very much biased towards Regirock. Alright? When I was playing my Donphan deck, with which I did very well at the UK National Championships, I was using the Regirock from Legends Awakened. I've gone and cut tournaments with that ridiculous promo Regirock with Omega Barrier. So okay, I do contend, I do understand, I do admit that I am biased in favour of Regirock, but I'm still giving it 4 Wassies because I love this card. I think you've got to play around a little bit to make it work. I think you've got to be behind on prizes and use the fighting tricks. I think you need to use something like Tapu Koko Prism Star to get the extra energy. But I also think that when you've got stuff like Miss Magius, honestly, turn 1, 190 is really not outside the realms of possibility. I am definitely going to be playing around with this. But I'd like to know what you think about it, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.